We spend so much time perfecting our resumes, our experience, our skills, but what if something else, something totally out of our control, mattered even more? Today we're going to talk about a hidden system that has a massive impact on our lives, and it all boils down to one tiny piece of information you probably write down every single day without a second thought.
So let's just jump right in with this question. Think about it for a second. What if the most important line on your resume isn't actually a line you wrote? I mean, what on earth could possibly be more important than your skills, your experience, your education, right?
Well, that question gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's what I'm calling the unseen line. And to really get a grip on this, let's just walk through a super simple and, frankly, a really common situation.
Okay, so picture this. You've got two people, applicant A and applicant B, going for the exact same job. And professionally, they are clones. I mean, look at this. 5 years of experience, check. Same degree, check. Same skills, same incredible references, they're identical. But there is one tiny difference, and it's the one thing they had no control over, their address. One lives in postcode X, the other in postcode Y.
All right, so here's the big question. They are the same person on paper. So, who gets the job interview? Who gets that call? I mean, common sense says it's a coin toss, right? A 50-50 shot. But what if I told you it's not a fair game at all? What if the winner was already decided?
And that is because of something we'll call a hidden score. See, there's this invisible system working in the background, just humming along, and it takes that one little piece of data, your address, and it starts making judgments about you.
So who gets the call back? It's applicant B. Just like that. Let that sink in for a second. Everything else was the same, but the person from postcode Y got the opportunity. The big question we've got to ask is, why?
This whole thing actually has a name. It's called geographic profiling, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's automated systems, algorithms and software, using your postcode or your zip code to make huge decisions about you. They're literally assigning you a score for risk, for opportunity. They're putting a value on you, not based on who you are, but based on nothing more than where you live.
And here's a really important thing to get. This isn't usually about some hiring manager who's consciously biased against a certain neighborhood. A lot of the time we're talking about computers, automated systems making snap judgments. They look at all the data connected to an area and just make assumptions. It's like bias that's been baked right into the software itself.
Okay, so you can probably guess this is way bigger than just one job application, right? This stuff seeps into almost every part of our lives. So let's zoom out a bit and see how this all plays out. We're calling this part life by the numbers.
This geographic profiling stuff, it quietly influences so much. We're talking job callbacks, for sure, but also things like how good your local schools are, how often police patrol your street, and even your ability to get good health care. It's a lot. So let's take these one by one.
All right, let's start with careers. This isn't just a theory. Researchers in both the US and Europe have actually tested this by sending out thousands of identical resumes. The only thing they changed was the address. And the results? They're always pretty shocking. I mean, look at this. An applicant from postcode Y gets a call back 15% of the time. The exact same applicant from postcode X? Only 8%. That's almost double the chances of getting a foot in the door, all because of a line of text.
Now, what about education? Oh yeah, it's a big one here too. A kid's school quality is often directly tied to their address. In the US, for example, a lot of school funding comes from local property taxes. So wealthier neighborhoods often mean better funded schools. You can literally have districts right next to each other with a funding gap of thousands of dollars per student. And while the systems in Europe are different, with these complex national formulas, you often end up with the same kinds of inequalities. The bottom line is the same. Your address can basically decide your educational path before you even learn to read.
And behind all these numbers and systems, there's a real human cost. It's powerful. And I think this quote really captures it. The system never saw my potential, only my street. It's just a powerful reminder that we're talking about real people whose lives are being shaped and sometimes limited by these huge impersonal forces. And this pattern just keeps going when we look at policing. A lot of police departments use something called predictive policing software. It basically crunches old crime data and tells officers where to patrol. The problem is it can send way more police into certain neighborhoods, often lower income ones, as you can see here. So what happens? The people living there have more encounters with the police, and that creates more data, which tells the software to send even more police back to that same area. It's a dangerous feedback loop.
And believe it or not, this can literally be a matter of life and death. This is just mind-blowing. In major cities all over the world, you can see these dramatic differences in how long people live, sometimes between neighborhoods that are just a few miles apart. A 9-year difference. Can you imagine? That gap can be driven by all sorts of things, like access to hospitals, pollution levels, or even just whether you can buy fresh food nearby. And all of it, every single one of those factors, is connected to your postcode.
Okay, so we've looked at our jobs, our schools, our safety, even our health. Where does all of this leave us? Well, it all comes together in what we're calling the final map. Here's the takeaway, the thing to really remember. Your address draws an invisible map around your life. It's quietly shaping your entire path, your opportunities, your challenges, before you even step outside your door in the morning. It's like this hidden architecture of advantage and disadvantage, built out of data we never see, but whose effects we feel every single day.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If our postcode creates one of these powerful invisible maps, what other invisible maps are out there, quietly shaping our world and our lives? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for listening.